Good afternoon. How are
Good
you?
afternoon. How are you doing?
Good. I love your quilt in the background. It's beautiful.
Oh, thank you. My beautiful friend Marcy pieced that and taught it at the quilt shop that I used to work at.
Yeah.
And I quilted it for her. And the label on the back says 2009. So I quilted that. And my daughter had commented on how pretty the colors were. And she never paid attention to any of that stuff. And I mentioned it to Marcy when I took it back. And she taught it as a class. And then when she was finished teaching the class, she showed up with it one day with a label on the back and gave it to my daughter
Beautiful.
as a gift because she had commented that she liked it. So it says on the back that she gave it to her in 2009. So I would think I quilted it in 2008.
Wow.
Yeah. But I hang it because it gives me a chance to talk about Marcy. We lost her in 2015. So, and she was, the best, world-class hand applique artist is the only word. I mean, she would applique circles like this big, needle turned applique, and you couldn't see a stitch.
Wow, that's amazing.
She was phenomenal. So anyway, yeah. So sorry, I can't not tell the story when somebody comments on that quilt. So
well, that's a story well deserved.
Yeah. She was awesome. We miss her. We miss her a lot. But
so
anyway.
We had a good question from a customer. I mean, not a customer, a watcher, about how to price your quilting. And that is a very good question that was kind of hard sometimes to answer, depending, right?
Well, I think especially with the amount of long arm quilters that are out there compared to when I started.
Right.
Like in 2006, we were very few and far between. And now there's, I don't custom quilt for anybody anymore. So I used to have different prices. Some custom quilters charge by the hour. Some charge by, like, they'll decide ahead of time. I don't really know. All I know is I never charged enough for custom work.
Right.
But when it comes to edge-to-edge quilting, I charge by the square foot. My prices have been the same for 11 years. And I'm a little bit different, I think, in that, like, I've heard others, some charge a loading fee. I don't do that because loading it is part of the job.
I agree.
I've heard others have a set fee and then they charge an extra $1 a bobbin, or they charge $1.50 or $2 for every thread change, like all these things. And to me, that's kind of all part of the job. And personally, hopefully nobody takes offense, I don't want to nickel and dime my customers. Right. So it's the price it is. And I also don't have a different price for density of quilting.
Right.
And I've done that always specifically because, say somebody brings me a postage stamp quilt, 100 by 100, it's all 1-inch squares. That has to be quilted densely.
Right.
Right. If I then have a pricing list that says, well, it's this much for a loose, and then who decides what's loose? Who decides what's medium? And then at what point does it become dense? Right. But if somebody has a big quilt like that needs a ton of quilting in it so that it stays together over the years and survives the washing machine and, you know, the dryer or the laundry line or whatever.
Right.
I don't want them saying, well, I just want something loose, because at that point they're trying to save money.
Right.
Because it's going to fall apart. So I just charge $3.75 a square foot. If it needs to be dense, it gets dense. If the customer prefers open quilting and it can have open quilting because of how it's put together, then I do a more open thing. But I don't add all those extra charges, and that's all bulked in with the price of my per square footage, you know?
Okay, so you really go by square foot or square meter?
It's square foot.
Okay.
I know. It's weird here because we cut fabric in meters. but we quilt in inches. Like it's a quarter inch seam allowance. The rulers are a 1/4 inch thick. It kind of goes back and forth.
Right.
We kind of use, I do anyways, I use both.
Okay. Well, here, I think more in the United States, it's by the square inch.
Yes. And lots charge that here too. Like by the square inch. I don't know. I just somehow all the way back in 2006, I just charged by the square foot, and I've always done it that way.
No, that's beautiful. No, I think that's wonderful, because it gives the people who are listening options. We don't have to fit into a certain X, Y, and Z. And it's harder.
Sure.
And it's hard to explain to new quilters, no matter what you do, square yard, square inch, you know what I mean, kind of thing. It's an interesting.
It calculates out to about the same.
Mm-hmm.
But I like to be able to say, somebody will call me and they'll say, how much? Well, I've got a queen size quilt that I'd like quilted. How much would that cost? If they can give me, like I say, well, what are the measurements? And they'll say, well, it's a queen. I was like, well, okay, but a queen can be anything from 70 to 90 to 100 by 100.
Right.
Yeah, so there's a big difference in there. So if you can give me the measurements, I can tell you exactly how much it's going to cost.
Right.
Over the phone, because I don't need to see it, because I quilt it to what it needs. So it's not, okay, well, it's going to be an extra $75 because it needs to be really dense, or I can take $20 off because it's going to be really, like, I don't want to do all that. Right. And it's worked out for me. How do you charge?
I do by the square inch. I do charge by the bobbin, and I'm actually kind of glad. I don't charge a thread charge, but I do by the bobbin, just because thread recently has just gone skyrocketed. It's been kind of crazy, I feel. Don't you think that recently, like all of the charges, how things have increased in price? Yeah.
I mean, I'm charging the same thing. I'm charging the same price for my quilting that I was charging 12 years ago.
Right.
And
my bobbin charge hasn't changed at all since I started.
Yeah.
And so it's not like I'm keeping up, but it helps me to tell when I need to potentially think about my prices. So I'm using that there just to keep a little of a gauge for me to kind of gauge when we need to do some changing. Not that I gotta be able to make, all quilters need to be able to make money. Mm-hmm. Your time is valuable. One of the hardest things, I think, in coming up with your prices is really realizing that you are the expert and you are very valued. I don't put enough value on myself when I charge.
I think historically that is a woman thing anyway.
Right.
We don't value I mean, without getting into that whole debate, a man has no problem. And some women too, I guess, but I'm not of that way. A man will tell you, no problem, I charge this much an hour. I'm not coming for a minimum of this much money, whatever it happens to be.
Right.
But I think for me anyway, I'm like, oh, it's okay. No, it's okay. I could do that for you,
Totally the same.
But yeah, so I'm going to have to raise my prices, because when I was charging that much when I just moved out of my basement, my rent was way less than it is now. And all the supplies were way less than they are now. Even batting's gotten insanely expensive. So, I mean, I charge for batting. I don't include batting. I've done that a couple of times where it's been like, oh, this month bring in your quilts and everybody gets free batting. It's too expensive now.
It is.
I would love to do that, but I just can't. The overhead's too much.
Right. The overhead, and then the shipping of those things is crazy.
Yeah.
Shipping and batting is, because it's an awkward roll.
Yeah. There's a freight charge. The place I order my batting from, they're less than 2 hours from me. And I'm looking at $50 per roll in shipping.
Yes.
From 2 hours away. So sometimes I think, do I just take the truck?
Right.
Do I just waste 5 hours of my day and drive there? And then, but by the time I spend the 5 hours and the gas, I didn't save any money and I wasted half my day.
Right.
So it's just like, no, just suck it up and pay it, but it's insane.
So on your batting, here's another interesting charge. And this is where, again, I think me in my basement, just like you starting your quilting charges, I charge by the inch for our renters and for my long arm customers instead of by the yard. So I don't charge by the yard. I mean, I charge by the inch.
Okay.
So
I do quarter meters. So,
okay.
You know, it's 60, 70. If a quilt needs 70 instead of 60, it's just 1.75. Right?
Right.
So see, there's me again. 60 inches is 1.5. Like, it all works out in the end.
Right. No matter what you do, you got to figure out what works for your brain.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, I wish we had a definite answer. I would honestly, if you were thinking about starting a business, to definitely check your area to what other people are charging.
Yeah, there's a slippery slope, a little bit of a slippery slope when you start your own business. I get that when somebody's new, they want to charge less, and they should, but be very careful with that, because you don't want to tick off all the other long armers who have established businesses, right? And if you go in, like if everybody, say everybody here is $375, just as a blanket statement, and then Susie Q gets herself a mid-arm or whatever, and she's in her basement and she's charging $1 a square foot. She may get a bunch of people in the beginning, but a few things happen there. She's undercutting herself and she's undercutting everybody else.
Right.
She's actually, what's the term? Like cutting off her nose to spite her face kind of thing.
Right.
Because if you started $1 a square foot, a year from now, you can't go to $375 a square foot because your customers are all going to leave.
Right.
Right. It also devalues what we do.
Yes.
And the amount of money. I mean, when I look around this place, how much money is in here?
Just in machines alone.
Yeah. And it doesn't cost $30 or even $1,000 to get into quilting for others with a long arm. It's thousands and thousands of dollars. And then you have to practice your craft and get good at it.
Yep.
You know? So going in too cheap just to kind of grab the new customers is going to backfire eventually. I do think that, personally, I think it's okay to go in a little bit cheaper because you don't have the experience. But the customers that are coming to you, you have to let them know that you are new.
Right.
As well, right? You can't put yourself out there as if you've had, you know, what am I now? Like 17 years experience. So I'm pretty confident.
Right.
I'm not the best quilter on the planet, but I'm a confident quilter. You know, you're going to get a good job done when you get it back. Right. So, yeah, but you do have to keep in mind all the amount of money that you've spent, and then you have to allow for all the years of experience and the time it took you to learn. It's like custom quilting, and I never charged enough for custom quilting. I notoriously undercharged because I never knew how to value my time. I still don't know how to. I still don't value my time properly.
Yes.
But it's not just that ruler work per se takes this much time. How much time did it take you to get that proficient at ruler work to even be able to offer that?
Right.
I mean, it doesn't happen overnight. Right. So those are just my thoughts. What do you think? I apologize. I'm a little distracted. I got stung by a wasp like right before we started up, and it's swelling and it's burning and it's very uncomfortable. So I'm trying
to stop my eyeballs from doing that. For some reason, I am having quite the Woo! Can you see them on my
Oh, you're getting the reflection.
Yes. So I'm holding my head in this awkward, but we're a great team today, Tracy.
You better be. You better be careful. It's like blocks out your eyeballs.
Right? Like, look at me. I'm like some sort of sci-fi movie. Along with my voice. And
can you change the angle of? Are you on a laptop?
I am, and it's just been really just
there. Oh,
it's just okay.
There.
I got to keep my eyeballs up.
Yep.
I
find sometimes in those lives when we do them, and I like watch them back or whatever, and I realize that the whole time I'm like this, like I'm looking up and down, and it's because these are progressives. Yes. So for me to be able to see your faces on the screen, I have to be looking in this thing, and then I think like, you look so stupid sitting there with your face up in the air, but I'm just trying to focus. I'm just trying to focus, people. And if I take them off, I can't see anything. So
right.
Anyway, but I can see. Oh, you're good right there.
I know, right
there.
No, I've been watching.
Don't move. Masking tape your head to the wall. Keep your head back.
Right.
Anyway, we digress.
Totally.
What are your opinions about pricing?
No, my opinion is to be proud about your self-worth. You took the time to invest in the machine. You took the time to invest in the thread and the practice and all of that other good stuff. Mm-hmm. You are the expert. It's okay to call yourself that. I mean, obviously you're a new expert. We all have different levels, right? But you're the one.
Everybody starts somewhere. Everybody starts at the same place.
Right.
Right.
Everybody starts at the same place.
Yeah.
And so just my advice is then don't be afraid to raise your prices either. I mean, Jake and I, when we purchased the business and we changed our rates for rentals, we are actually, again, doing the industry a disservice. So we were talking about raising them, and we just stressed over the tiny, minuscule amount, right? But electricity went up like an exorbitant amount. Mm-hmm. All of those things that the machines, anyway, it's all good. It just, we stressed over it, and then it happened. It was like, okay, we're good.
Well, and I think we worry too. I mean, especially now with so many people quilting, that you also don't want to price yourself out of the game either, right? Like the person who's at home quilting for customers in their living room or their spare dining room or whatever those rooms in the fancy houses are, those great rooms or whatever, or in your basement,
right?
You don't have the overhead that we have, right? So, but I also understand that if somebody can get it done from somebody who's happy charging $3 a square foot or whatever because they don't have any overhead, I get that. Like I understand it all, but I have to charge what I have to charge. Otherwise, I can't pay my bills, right?
I heard a great saying, and I will have to preface the story. So that Jake and I are business owners, but Jake's 29. There's another gentleman that helps us.
He's so young.
Yes, he's only 29.
He's only 3 years older than my oldest.
Yeah, and and there's a gentleman that helps us. He's about a little bit older than I am. And we were talking about how we have an ad out there, and somebody complained about our pricing of our backing. It's too high. And I am in a group, and I said, hey, guys, how do you combat this? You know what I mean? Because I want to get some honest opinion. Somebody's
coming in. Keep all those thoughts.
Yes.
Hi. We're recording a podcast. Oh, my gosh. Hi. Oh, I didn't recognize you all for a second. Hello. Hi.
Oh, good to see you.
Oh, good to see you too. Yeah, we're just recording a podcast. You okay?
Yeah.
Okay. You want to just wander?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Okay.
We can finish up pretty quick.
Yeah. What? There's Kathy.
Hi.
This is Brenda.
Hi, Brenda.
Hi.
This is Doreen.
Hi, Serene.
No, Doreen.
Oh, Doreen. I'm sorry.
And Nancy.
Hi, Nancy.
Doreen's here from out west.
Ah, we're out west.
Brenda lives 5 hours that way.
Okay.
And Nancy lives, the most comfortable bed on the planet ever. I refer to it as my bed, but I only get to sleep in it like once a year or something. But I tell you, you'll never sleep in a bed more comfortable. Yeah, okay. So you guys can just wander. If I can be rude, just say, be quiet.
Yeah, okay.
and don't walk in the frame.
I'm gonna stand right here so that I can watch myself later on.
There you go. Oh, yep. Oh, you did a walk by. There you go. Do it again. As you walk past, go like this. There you go.
All you see is my big boobs.
Oh. Well, they were right in line with my head.
Yeah, they were.
Yeah, that's okay. She said, all you see is my big boobs.
You're so funny.
They were in line.
Oh.
What?
All right.
Okay, so talk to me about Jake.
Jacob is 29, and I was
Right.
asking my group of ladies for some help on how to respond to these customers in a very pleasant way, right? Getting some advice. And one of the ladies said, I'm L'Oreal. I'm worth it. And I was repeating that, and I'm reading out loud, and Sam and I got it, and we started laughing. And Jake was like, what?
Oh, we wouldn't get that reference, would he?
Yeah. So just remember, when you're pricing your pricing, you're worth it.
Absolutely. And that's the biggest hurdle.
Right.
I think at the end of the day is knowing that you're worth it and feeling comfortable charging what you should be charging.
And you're valued, and just to remember that, because you're in the same group of people, all of us deal with our self-worth.
We do. Yeah, for sure.
You're not alone. You're not alone.
Yeah. And anybody out there, you're not alone either. We all struggle with that.
Every day.
Every day.
All right. Well, with that, we'll let you have some great company and some time, and it's probably will make it a little bit shorter today. If you guys have any questions, please let us know. We do read them.
Absolutely.
And give us a thumbs up and a share and all of that good stuff. So
awesome.
And Angela couldn't make it today because one of our employees, she had to go into the store. So everything's good. She just had some other commitments.
No worries.
All right.
All right. Take care.